All right, everybody, welcome back to the Wildly Thriving podcast. Today's guest is Master Healer Amy Stark. She's an author, the host of the Stark Transformation Show, and is known for bridging science and spirit to create lasting transformation. She has helped thousands of people around the world release trauma, rewire limiting beliefs, and reclaim their power using a unique fusion of energy medicine, neuroscience, and intuitive wisdom. Amy knows some serious shit about energy healing. We chatted for a little bit before we even started, and I was blown away. I was like, all right, I got to remember these things to talk about. Welcome to the show, Amy. I'm so glad to have you on. I'm super pumped for this conversation.
I'm excited to be here. This is gonna be fun.
It's going to be so good. Okay, so you were telling me about your story. The listeners need to know this as well. I just want you to go all the way back to the beginning. You shared with me that you were chronically ill for some time as well, worked in some inner city schools. I would love for you to share your entire story and what got you here.
Yeah, so that was actually the beginning of the journey that got me to where I am today. So this is 18 years later now. So I was a New York City public school science teacher working in a hard to staff school for a high school as a science teacher. Okay. So these kids had parole officers, they were in and out of jail. It was rough. And they packed the school with security, and every day was a day where I was basically risking my life. In the end, I got my master's degree paid for because of it. But after 4 years, I couldn't take it any longer, and I needed a reset of some kind. Like, I didn't know what I needed, but I couldn't keep going back there. It was just too much. I was sick all the time. I almost took my life because I was so depressed. I wanted to make a difference in the world, and I felt like I wasn't. And so I went on a 3 month long vacation, as teachers do in the summer sometimes. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? And finally, I realized I'm not going back to teaching. I'm going to find a different job, and I'm going to start to meditate. I'm going to start to take care of my health. And really, when I sat down to meditate, I didn't think it was going to work. I did not. I was like, I'm all into sports. I'm go, go, go. This is New York City. Like, sitting down and doing nothing seems stupid. But the opposite happened for me. It completely changed my life. And so much so that after the first day, I only meditated for 15 minutes, and I was like, Amy, you can have coffee and you can just like listen to music and see what happens. I wound up going and working up to 2 hours a day because it felt so good. And that's where I learned that I had these repetitive, stupid, degrading thoughts that were just boring, really. And I was like, no wonder why my life is not changing. No wonder why I'm depressed. I had to really go through and sort through what I was thinking and telling myself. And that was really eye opening. But the other thing that happened was all my intuitive gifts started opening up rapidly. And I was a science teacher. So I was like, what is actually going on? How can I possibly know the things that I know without it being, somebody telling me? So that was an interesting thing. So, do you want me to tell you what happened the first time? Okay.
Yes.
So, I was sitting meditating, and my eyes were closed, and I thought of my twin sister, and all of a sudden my eyes started burning, and I was like, what the heck? I'm fine. So I opened my eyes and they're fine. And I close my eyes and they start burning. And I was like, who did I just think of? And it was my twin sister. So I call her and I am like, Sarah, how are you doing? And she's like, did you talk to mom? I have a double pink eye infection. And I was like, that's exactly what it felt like as if I had sand in my eyes. So, yeah, so I was like, that's weird. And then I'm like, maybe that's twin tuition. So then the next day I'm sitting there meditating, and all of a sudden I think of my dad, and my tooth starts hurting. And I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, it's my lower left tooth. It feels like it's in my mouth, but my mouth was fine. So I call my mom and I'm like, hey, mom, how's dad doing? And she's like, he's at the dentist. He bit down on a walnut last night and broke his tooth. And I'm like, I think I know which tooth it was. And my mom's like, oh, yeah, I used to have those kind of gifts when I was little or younger. And I was like, wait, what? So that sent me off on this journey of like, how in the world am I picking up what the pain that's in other people's bodies from so far away? I'm in Brooklyn, sitting on the couch, trying to get less stressed. And then all of a sudden, these things are happening to my body. So I had to dive into the science. I was like, I got to find out how this is happening. And that's when I picked up the biology of belief. And I learned about how we are energetic beings, how we connect to the quantum field. And basically, that's what I was doing. I was accidentally connecting to the quantum field and picking up from the energy of these people that I would think of. And so then I was like, well, if I'm not a doctor, how is this even helpful? And that's what set me off into learning how to take classes, how to heal your own body, as well as helping other people to heal using energy.
Wow. Wow. I have so many questions that spurred off of that. But basically, like to reflect on what you were saying with how you were feeling working at that school is essentially you're misaligned, right? Like you weren't
Yeah.
following your path because this was your path. Now you're
Yes.
not meeting any of that resistance because you're executing on what your true purpose is. And that's where I think a lot of us struggle with things like depression, lack of purpose and feeling those lower vibrational states is because we are getting the signals, but sometimes they're a little subtle, and we're so wrapped up in what we're currently doing, what we think we need to be doing. Maybe we're living for somebody else. Maybe it's because our parents want us to be a doctor, and but that's not exactly what our true calling is. That's the misalignment. That's the gap.
Yeah. Hmm.
Is that something that you talk a little bit about in your book? I want to hear more about what all of your book covers and
Yeah.
like the experiences in there. Yeah.
Sure. So what you were talking about, that misalignment, absolutely is true. I was living for everybody else, and it was taking such a toll on me, and it was just making me sicker and sicker. And so I was chronically ill for the first 30 years of my life. And as soon as I started tuning in and taking care of me, I vibrationally started to match with things that were much better and healthier for me. And so I now am 45 and I'm healthier than I ever was. And I'm 14 years younger on the inside based on my DNA being looked at and the of my immune system, which is insane because at 9 years old, my doctor said he wanted to take it out and replace it with a new one. And I'm also 11 years younger on the inside based on blood work. So the journey that I took truly healed me. And I didn't even think I was going to make it past 40. To be honest, when I was in my early 20s, I kept getting the message. It's like, you got to change what you're doing or you're not going to make it. And thank God I did change it. And I now, I mean, that's what my book is all about is I wanted to share, what did I do to heal myself? What are the things that I learned? How did I get from where I am to where I was to where I am now? And I want to do that for other people. So when you pick up the book, it's bridging from where you are to where you want to be. And there's a whole power section that includes how to monitor your glucose levels and why that's important, the science behind that, the science behind your why walking is good, gratitude is good, forgiving people, authenticity, gratitude, all of it. I mean, all these things matter because they change your vibration, they change your energy, and they're
Mm,
easy, they're free. I mean, adding vegetables before you eat carbs is a free thing to do to help your overall health. And a lot of people don't even know that. A lot of people don't realize that there's just little swaps that they can make, like going for a walk, a 10-minute walk after they eat something that's carby. Now, the people are like, why is an energy healer talking about that? Well, that's energy in the body. So it all
mhm,
matters. You want to have steady energy throughout the day. And that's why I do start out with a lot of protein in the morning so that I'm not on an emotional roller coaster. When I started diving in on the research on that stuff, I couldn't believe how the strong connection between depression and anxiety with high levels of glucose or unregulated glucose really is. So
mm,
it's just even something like that is important. But why walk in nature? Like, it connects you to something that's greater than you, and it allows you to get more creative. It does lower your glucose levels, and it also gets you creative. So it's like I have the things in there that are going to pack a punch, that are going to cause a stark transformation. That's my company name. It's going to change your life when you implement the things that I have in there. So that's why I
mhm,
wrote it. It was a labor of love for sure. It took about 4 years, specifically 2 very solid years of writing
mm.
and
Wow.
research.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure something like that would take some time and effort and true care to like put together because you don't want to make a book about something that people have already talked about, especially when you're harping on those things that are foundational, that are free, that are kind of almost basic, right? You want to match that with like a personal experience, a story, like why is this truly impactful? Like, what is the science? How does the science connect with the energetic elements of our physiology? We talked a little bit before this, and I wanted to ask you for the listeners to hear, what were some of those experiences that you had as an energy healer? How did you change your clients' like physical health, emotional health, the trajectory of their lives with your energy healing? Like, what modality did you use, and what it was it exactly that actually changed their lives?
Right. That's a great question. So at first I started learning about Reiki and I became a Reiki master and then I learned about reconnective healing and I enjoyed that as well. But mostly what happened when I was meditating all those hours for years was I started just seeing what was wrong with people and their body and then knowing intuitively to go there and start asking questions. So I'll give you an example. I was working with a lady who was in her 70s and she wanted to walk to the cemetery to visit her husband, but she would have aching in her leg that would be so bad that she couldn't go see him. And she tried to do it every day, but then just had to stop going. So a friend of mine asked me to come over to see her. And so I was working on her leg, and all of a sudden, I first of all saw a spark, a blue spark, which was really cool because I was early in the days of when I would actually see the energy. And suddenly I start seeing pictures, like almost like a movie reel that is happening at the lower part of her leg. And I'm being shown California over a coast. I'm feeling like it's this woman's like in her 20s. She's with a man that she really loves, and they're stopping to look at the view. And so I say something to her and I say, by any chance, like, oh, and then all of a sudden I felt like a car door slammed on my leg. And I said to her, I said, is there any chance that this is what happened? And I told her exactly what I was seeing. She's like, oh my gosh, yes, that happened with my husband when I was in my 20s and I had a pain that just stayed there. So I worked on the energy there, got it flowing. And do you know that she was able to walk to the cemetery that day? And she had been walking after that because the energy was blocked there. There was an injury. And then over time, when the energy can't flow in that space, it gets backed up. Like I always say, it's like a traffic jam. And when I come in, I can smooth out that energy and then the energy can flow and then she can use it the way that she's supposed to be using her leg instead of it being so achy and hurting. So that was one of the first times that I really saw the connection between a story of somebody's life, the energy. I got the exact time, the location on the body, but also the location in physicality of where everything, the story that was stuck there. And as soon as I cleared that, she was able to resume. And that happened over and over and over again. I would see these stories, I would talk to these people about it. And so I got to see how the body really keeps the score. It literally tells the story to us if you're sensitive enough, like I am, to read it and then help them move it out. And
Mhm.
fascinating things happen when we start to remove that stuff. I mean, people will go after the job that they have always wanted to go after, but then didn't feel before worthy of it. And it can
Mhm.
go back to, for that specific case, it was a woman who in second grade had a urinary tract infection, and nobody believed her that she wasn't just like trying to pee her pants and get attention. She actually
Mhm.
had a urinary tract infection and had lost control and started to develop a narrative where she felt like people didn't listen to her, that she was betrayed by her body. Like so there was a lot of stuff to work through, but as soon as we worked through that, she was like, I don't know why I ever would not go after the job that I'm completely qualified for and want. Like I can't believe this was holding me back. So it's because we cleared the story because it needed to clear. So
Yeah.
we often don't realize how much of the past is affecting our future, but also our present moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking a little bit about Dolores Cannon before we hopped on, and she does a lot of the past life regressions. Have you ever had a client who was carrying something over from a past life, or are you more so
Yes.
work on current? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. So basically, to me, energy is like a book. I can read whatever I need to read, and it could come from past lives. It can come from a loved one who's crossed over. It can come from this current life. It can come from any time part of their timeline. And There was one specific person who wanted to step into her purpose and make money, and she was really excited, and she's like, I don't know what the problem is and what's holding me back. And it was actually intergenerational trauma that she had inherited from her
Mm.
grandfather. And this is in the book. This story is in the book. I actually have a lot of these kind of stories in the book. So her grandfather shows up and says, listen, I got, because this woman was also recovering from being sick, and that's how most of my clients come to me. And then once they get well, they're like, I want to go after my purpose, and I want to, do what I want to do. And her uncle, or I'm sorry, her grandfather went after, in New York City. He went and started a company where he was a carpet guy, and he was really stressed all the time trying to make it work. And then suddenly there was a fire, and he lost the whole business, and he was sick. And so in her body, it was, do not go after your passion. You will get sick and everything will be destroyed.
Mm.
So we had to clear that out. That it's like, thank you, but that's not actually what is going to serve her right now. She's not going to open up a factory in New York City in the 1940s or 50s or whenever it was, and like there's no need for that trauma to be in there. So we helped to rewrite that.
Wow, that's amazing. So, like, for these people, like, when you say that you clear their energy, is it one session and they're good, or is there like a period or like a process that they have to go through in order to integrate and continue working on those blockages and those fears? Like, what is the actual like framework for healing for these kinds of people?
Yeah. So, for instance, in that case, we were able to clear that trauma and that energy and information, but there's going to be other layers that are involved as well. So,
Mhm.
while she maybe went after her dream, there might have been some other things that we had to work on. So it's not as simple as saying, yes, well, now the light switch has been turned, and she can go after her passion, and there's not going to be a problem. Like there's going to be other things that come up, but that particular thing, once you heal the energy, it does not come back.
Mm. Mm. Interesting. Do you ever help people that have like um a bad relationship with money or something that they fear or like addictions or anything like that?
So fear is an easy one. That's usually what goes quickly in one session. I have a funny story about this one. So there's a lady who came to me who was very afraid to fly, and she had tried everything. She went to even like FAA or whatever they call it for airlines, like went to their specific course to get rid of the fear of flying. And she had tried other things and nothing had worked. And so somebody had recommended that she come to me. And so we did a EFT tapping session. So it's emotional freedom technique. And I read the energy and we tapped through it. And the next day she got on a flight and she said the only anxiety she had was that she didn't have anxiety. Like, so she was like, I don't even know what to do with myself because I'm just like sitting here on the plane. Like I should be freaking out, but I'm not, because we cleared the energy, we rewrote the programming that she had. And it's very, and this is why I love what I do, because I connect the science and spirit. So the science of it is she had anxiety every time she thought about a plane and flying. And what we did was we paired it with something that was calming. And when you do that, the brain says we have to rewrite this programming. This is incompatible with what we already know. And it's literally a dangerous program to be running because it's not what your brain is observing right now. It's something's wrong with it.
Mm.
So it takes the neural networks down and rebuilds a new one where you have an association of a plane and calmness at the same time. So it's extremely effective. I did not create EFT, though I love it and I use it all the time with clients. And I don't work personally one on one with people anymore. I just train people in groups and the masses, essentially. But it is very effective at rewriting limiting beliefs, traumas, and fears.
Wow. I was going to say, like, I would love to get a session from you for my boyfriend. Unfortunately, that's not possible anymore. But if somebody maybe that you trained maybe can see him, because I'm gonna put him out right now. He has a phobia of tiny spoons.
Oh, that's
I'm
an
not
easy one
kidding.
to. Oh, that's ridiculous. I'm sure I could figure that out. That's super easy. Is he in the room?
Isn't that
Is he?
ridiculous?
Is
No, he's
he?
not
Okay.
here. He's
Okay.
not here. He's working.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be amazing. We just bring him in right now and like have him
Hey,
overcome
that
his
definitely
fear.
has to do with when he was between 3 and 4.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from. Like
Yeah,
it's just when he first told me, I was like, stop playing with me because he jokes around a lot. And he's like, no, I'm serious. And I was like, I wonder because like I'm a believer that time is an illusion, right? Like everything that's
it is.
happened has already pretty much happened, right? There's different realities that'll spin off. But I told him, I was like, I think you like died choking on a tiny spoon, and that's why you're scared of it. Or maybe it was like in a past life. I don't know, but that just
Yeah. So for me, when I was looking at the energy very quickly, and I could be wrong because I it happens, but it would be when he was 3 to 4, and I see him sitting with a bowl of cereal as a young child, and basically what I would do is I would work him through a nervous system reset where he would think of the spoon, and I would expand his energy, and he would tap on his body like on the different points, and it would rewrite it.
Mm,
It's really truly that simple, and a lot of people think it's harder than that because we've been made to believe that we are not as powerful as we truly are, and we need somebody else to help us through these things, or we need a to take a pill or something like that, or that it takes longer. When you're working with energy, it's so much faster. In fact, this is the best way to understand it. So when we experience a trauma, so you can imagine if you're allergic to snakes, if you're afraid of snakes, is what I meant to say. If you're afraid of
mhm.
snakes, what happens immediately? You see the snake and your entire body reacts, right? So that's only possible because there's an electrical signal that runs throughout your body, right? That's why energy is so effective and so fast at healing the body because just the same way as when you see a snake and you have that reaction, if you can reprogram it using energy, you can change it very quickly as well.
That's interesting. I'm curious, like, what else? Because I use EFT tapping for my clients that have like anxiety or like PTSD.
It's really
Um,
helpful.
yeah, I'm curious, like, is there any specific like points? Because usually I have them tap back here, but is there like other
Oh,
points
with
of
EFT.
tapping that you do?
Oh yeah. So traditional EFT doesn't actually use that back point.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure there's some evidence for that. But the tapping that I do is from I was taught it like the standard tapping. And then of course I've adapted and put the center tapping in the center of the chest because that's absolutely necessary. I truly believe that. Um, but again, another quick story. I was at urgent care with my niece on vacation, and I'm sitting there. This woman walks in, full blown panic attack, can't see, can hardly breathe. And she walks up to the lady at the front desk and is like, "I need help. Like, get me help." And the lady's like, "Can you fill out this form first?" I'm like, this is the problem with Western medicine. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, where's your heart, lady? So the lady who's having the panic attack turns around, starts to walk out, like totally feeling awful. And I went up to her and I said, "Listen, I'm not a doctor, but I think I can help you right now. As like, if you trust me, you can sit down and I'll help you." And she's like, "I'm game, like whatever. I'm can't be worse than what I'm feeling right now." We sit down. She's
Mm-hmm.
never met me. I start taking her through a tapping session. Within 10 minutes, she's fine. She was able to drive home. I didn't want her to drive, but she swore up and down that she was fine and that she could see again, she could breathe, she wasn't having the panic attack anymore. That's how
Wow.
transformative it is when you can use the technique when you need it most. Like that's why I teach it all the time on social media is because people are having panic attacks. People have high anxiety, and you know you can be in the pickup line waiting to pick up your kids and feel like so angry and you know overacting or overreacting or whatever or over emotional, and you're like, I don't want to pick up my kids and then take it out on them when they get in the car. So I teach these quick resets that you can do. Nobody even needs to know that you're doing it. It's honestly that easy to do that you wouldn't even be able to tell. So you want me to show
Do you
you?
mind
Yeah, yeah,
demonstrating? Like,
yeah.
it's okay, yes.
Okay, so the first one that actually went viral on TikTok and it got well over 1 million views is where you because it works and that's why people were like, "Holy crap, I never expected this to work."
Mm.
Just turn your head to the left for and hold it for a minute. You want to try it? You'll get, see, you got a sigh. There's a sigh there. Sometimes there'll be a yawn. There will be energy traveling down your back and spine. You can open your mouth if you feel like the yawn isn't coming out. Yeah, there you go.
That's crazy. Do
So
I
that's
close my
a,
eyes or does it matter?
it doesn't really matter. So you can do that. Like nobody's gonna say anything about you turning your head to the left and like looking like you're looking out the window. Sorry, I just snorted. So 1 to 3 minutes, but I wouldn't do it longer than that.
And what does that actually do, like energetically? Like, is there like
So
science behind that, or like, like
yeah, so
why does the body reset?
yeah, you're accessing your vagus nerve and you're resetting
Mhm.
it in that way. So that's why people are like, well, does it work if you turn to the right? And it's actually doesn't work to if you turn your head to the right, you have to turn it to the left.
Mhm.
The other thing that you can do that's great, and I actually sent my son out to school yesterday because he was freaking out. He had to take a test, which EFT is great for those people who have test anxiety. But I said, if you're taking the test and you're starting to feel really anxious, take your hands, interlace them like this, and squeeze at the knuckles. Yeah. And you hold that for about a minute, 30 seconds to a minute, and you'll feel the energy shift down the back of your spine, or you'll get the sigh of your chest opening up, or a yawn. Or sometimes people have tears. There you go. See, you keep getting the sighs.
Mhm.
It's because you're
Does
more regulated than most people.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I feel a lot more regulated now. Like you talking about the panic attacks. I had an ex-boyfriend that would have panic attacks constantly, and it was all because of his thinking, right?
Yeah.
Extremely negative, had like a narrative associated with every scenario, and it was always like some dark, down, depressing thing. And he would get panic attacks like every other night basically. And I couldn't get him to do the tools and the techniques. It's like he refused to do anything, and it's almost like he was addicted to
Yes. Yes.
feeling that way. Hmm.
Right. So these little resets are great for people like him who may not want to do like a whole tapping session because they are addicted to feeling that way. So that small interruptions might help. But this is a really good chance for me to talk about how thoughts turn to chemistry, which changes how you feel. So, this is why people say mindset is everything. Because if your mindset is creating chemicals that are destroying your body, you're going to feel like SHIT. You're going to be having dark thoughts. You're not going to be creating the life that you want. You're going to feel like a victim to your circumstances, which is going to bring in more things that are going to make you feel like a victim. You'll miss the opportunities, the people, the good things that are happening in your life because your focus is on the negative. And your brain is a goal achieving machine. And if you want to find what to be upset about, it will be like, sure, no problem. I got it. I'll find something. And it's like, look, you're
Oh.
right now. You're right here. You're right. And it's like, no, this is not working for me. So you can do the same thing, but in the opposite direction and just think about the positive things. So that's why I always say, gratitude is so important. I have a chapter about it because that will literally change the chemistry that runs through your body. You will start to pull in new experiences and things that are going to not only make you feel better and heal you, but you're going to just walk around at it in an elevated state and you're going to be like, this freaking rocks. Like I had no idea how great my life was until I started looking and paying attention to it. So that's one of the first things I started doing in order to fall asleep because I told you I was that New
Mhm.
York City public school teacher and I was having so much anxiety. I could not fall asleep. It took 2 hours. And I had heard somebody say what you're grateful for before bed. And I started doing that and
Mhm.
I started falling asleep. I went from 2 hours, 2.5 hours to try to fall asleep to
Mhm.
5 minutes
Mhm.
because you change the chemistry that's flowing through your body and you can now receive sleep. You can't go
Mhm.
out and get sleep. People try, like, they're like, oh, I just want to fall asleep. Like, can I get it? It's not, it's
Yeah.
about receiving it. You have to get into receiving mode. And that's what, because think about it. When you say what you're grateful for, you're thinking of all the things you've received in life. So then
Mhm.
your body's like, hey, you want to receive sleep? Great. Here it is. You fall
Mm.
asleep. It's that simple. It's about the chemistry of the body.
Yeah, and also like signaling to your body that you're safe. For a
Yes.
long time, like I dealt with insomnia after a breakup for a very long time, and it was because my number one, I was unwilling to let go. Like I had it in my head that, we would reconnect one day and that things would be, normal again. But like my heart, I felt like there was something missing and I didn't have my safety and my comfort anymore. I was alone. So I
Mm,
felt like this uneasiness and it would take me, like I would fall asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning
yeah.
every day. And it was so challenging to overcome that. And I dealt with that for a very long time. I wish I would have read your book,
Yeah.
I wish I was
I mean,
released by that point.
yeah, people say that they could just open up to any chapter and just pick something to work on. Like that's how I've laid out the chapter. I mean, I do have a whole chapter on mindset because I was doing the research on mindset and because over the years, this is 18 years of experience and research that I had uncovered and I'd be like, what studies blew my mind? And then I would go back and find them and I put all of them in the book because if it changed the course of my life, it'll change the course of your life. Do you
Mm.
know about the one with the monastery?
I don't know.
Okay, so
Go
there's a
on, tell
mindset
us.
there. There's a study about a lady from Harvard, a huge psychologist in the field of positive psychology and mindset. She took these 70 and 80-year-old men up to a monastery for a week and changed the interior to just remind them of the 60s, the 50s and 60s. And there was music that was playing from the 50s and 60s. There was posters. They were only told to talk about what life was like when they were in the 50s and 60s. And after a week, these men had stopped using their cane. They had lost weight. Their cognition was better. They were taller, and their nails were getting longer than they normally would. There was so many things that had changed just because their mindset had shifted to feeling younger. So in my book, I talk about obviously that study, but many others that I just was like, this can't be like you like. There was a one about a people who get knee replacements and how they did the sham. Have you heard that one? The
No,
sham. Oh my God.
you're blowing my
So
mind.
I know. So I know I love doing that. I love this stuff lights me up. That's why I wrote the book. So they took people who got regular knee replacements, right? Just the normal course of people who do that. And then they did what they called sham ones. So they opened up the knee, splashed some water, act like they were doing the surgery, but didn't actually replace the knee. Do you know that the people who didn't get their knee replaced did better 5 years later and also right after the surgery? It's
The
ridiculous.
nocebo effect is
But yes.
insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, that's
I talk
incredible.
about the
And there's so many
placebo,
examples of this too.
nocebo. Yeah. So that's the power of the mind. We can create chemistry that we need in our body to heal us. We just have to believe that we can do it. And
Mhm.
I I would like to think that I also have that ability. Like over the years, I think that that's what's changed my life. I mean, actually, we could talk about how I went to a laboratory and I was able to change the structure of water in a way that was broke the laws of science. Like,
Do it. Tell
okay.
us more.
So after 16 years of doing this, and I was like, you know what? It's time to put my money where my mouth is. I want to be a part of science research and how energy can heal the body. So you have to go and you have to prove in a laboratory setting what you can do. And one of the things I had to do was they took a cup of water and they said, you need to change the pH of this water. And the current pH was 9.0, which was actually very high. I was like, hey, I'll have a sip of that. And so then they were like, we want you to make it lower than 7 and you have 5 minutes. And I was like, I've never actually done this. Like, okay. And so you can't touch it. You can't get too close to it, right? Because then that would be cheating. So I just used my mind and my energy to shift the pH of it. And I was able to get it down to, I think it was 6.9 or 6.7. I think it was 6.7 pH in 2 minutes. And I was like, if it's not right, can you tell me and I'll just keep going? And she's like, that's fine. I'll tell you if it's not there. But it was. And then she said, but you broke the rules of physics, law of whatever, science, because I didn't change the particle count that was in the water. So when something becomes more acidic, there would be more particles in it. So I want you to hear this. I was
Yeah.
able to change it exactly the way that she had said for me to change it. So she said, make it have a different pH, which was less, right? So I did. She didn't say follow the rules of physics, make sure that there's the right amount of particles that match it. So I changed it exactly as I was supposed to. So then she said, you need to download more particles in it for this to count because you're supposed to do that. Like it's supposed to just end up with the right amount of particles. So I downloaded particles into it and I changed it 10 quantum fold or something, she said. And I was able to make it accurate to science after that. So,
Wow.
and I am just somebody who is very in tune with their thoughts, with their energy, with their mind, and understand the power we have at our fingertips with our thinking to change not only ourselves, but the world around us.
Yeah, wow, that just made me have so many questions. So like for people, like for instance, for me, it was challenging at the beginning to meditate because I have ADHD. I would like to
Yeah.
hear your opinions about ADHD and if you
I
think
have
that is a
ADHD.
permanent diagnosis or not. It is a superpower, I believe.
It is a
Um,
superpower.
but what would you recommend to those individuals that are like, I've tried to meditate, it just irritates me, I don't want to do it. Like, is there other modalities or is there a
Yes.
way of getting into it that you would recommend?
Yes, EFT. If I could start over again, I would have started out with EFT because meditation can be pretty overwhelming, especially for those who have a lot of trauma and those who are ADHD or used to being on the go. So, starting out with something like EFT, not only will it calm down your nervous system, which makes a huge difference in your overall life, but you can start to work on that trauma, using EFT, but you can also you're doing something, you're fidgeting. So, when I teach in the past, I used to go to elementary schools and middle schools and things like that and teach EFT. And the kids with EFT used to say, the boys specifically would come up to me and be like, that was the most focused I've ever been when I started to tap because I was able to
Mm.
fidget in a positive direction, like meaning I wasn't, wasting time or getting in the way of other people by moving my chair around or my feet around. And they were like, this actually I was able to channel my energy in a more positive way so that I could focus. And I do think that it's just way better place to start than
Yeah,
meditation.
could you, if you're comfortable, could you like demonstrate what that would even look
Sure.
like for an
Yeah.
ADHD person? Okay.
But the other one more thing I just want to say, if you have ADHD or not, definitely use binaural beats and make sure that you're getting it from a quality source. Binaural beats will shift your mental state, and I talk about it more in the book, so you can, if you're interested. But it will shift in the moment how your brain waves are, which is what you're trying to do with meditation. So that's like it's like a hack to getting to these elevated states. And I can even tell you when I had my son, I my body was freaking out because it was a whole traumatic thing and I could not fall asleep at night and I didn't know EFT at the time. I would put in
Mm.
the delta wave in my ears and that was the only thing that would put me to sleep.
Yeah, I know. Personally, I have to listen to like pink noise or like white noise
Okay.
for me to like overcome the insomnia. Like there has to be some kind of consistent vibration.
So one of the things that I would recommend for you then is instead of having that because white noise can disrupt your sleep, even though it helps you to sleep and it kind of blocks out everything else. So that in that way, I do like it, and sometimes it's necessary, especially if you live in a city. But tapping before bed will flood your
Mm.
body of the chemicals that you need in order to not only fall asleep faster and easier, but stay asleep. So I'll take you through EFT session. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So take a deep breath in and out. This is how I do it. Okay.
Okay.
This is not necessarily textbook. Take a deep breath in and out. We always want the exhale longer than the inhale. And we're going to start tapping at the hand. So we're going to tap right here. It's the karate chop point if you're listening. And we're right here, we're releasing grief, sadness, disappointment,
And are we
rejection.
thinking about that when we're doing that?
No, no, you
Okay.
don't have to. So if we're doing typical EFT, we would say, even though I'm feeling, let's say, anxious and I want to fall asleep, I deeply love and accept myself. Good.
Mm.
You can feel your heart opening up there, feeling your body relaxing. You might feel tingling going down the backs of your legs and your feet. Yeah. So when we get into the parasympathetic nervous system, we start to relax. That's the number one reason why we go there, because then it's going to help to us to sleep. So we go to the top of the head and we're going to say, even though
Even though
I have this anxiety and I want to go to sleep,
I have this anxiety and I want to go to sleep,
I deeply love and accept myself.
I deeply love and accept myself.
Good. I just felt like a whole chunk of energy coming off the back of my head. So that might be you.
Ooh,
Yeah. Take a deep breath in and out. And you can say on a scale of 0 to 10 how you're feeling, if that makes you better, feel like more confident in this. But um, we're going to go to the inner
there we
eyebrow.
go.
Oh, so up here, we're releasing overthinking, looping thoughts, and anxiety when we're tapping up here. Okay.
Okay.
So then we go to the inner eyebrow. And so it's more on the inner eyebrow. Go down. Yeah, there you go. So right here, we're releasing frustration and anger. So good. Take a deep breath in and out. And make sure your exhale is longer than your inhale. Good. We're going to go to the outside the eye. Outside the eye is also releasing frustration and anger. So we're going to say, even though I have this anxiety, I deeply love and accept myself.
Even though
Good.
I have this anxiety, I deeply love and accept myself.
Good. Do you feel your tailbone untucking there? It's like your hips feel like they're readjusting and relaxing.
Maybe I need to uncross my legs.
Okay, so then we're going to go under the eye. And this is helping to release the control or fear of letting go. Good. There's actually a divot right underneath the eye, and that's what we're aiming for. It's right on a bone.
My long nails.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough. So, so anyway, we'd say, even though I have this anxiety, I deeply love and accept myself. Good.
Mm.
I felt my
Do you
shoulders
have to say it
dropping.
out loud or can you say it
It is
in your
best
head?
if you say it out loud, but you don't have
Okay.
to, especially if you're like have a partner that's laying next to you in bed and you don't want to disturb them.
Right.
And
Okay.
let's go underneath the nose. So we're gonna tap it right here. This helps to reconnect the mind and the body. So when we get anxious, we're like too far up in our head and we need to get back into the body and listen to the body. But when we experience trauma, we tend to check out. And so we need to come back home so we can process the energy. And it takes
Mm.
90 seconds to work through an emotion. Take a deep breath in and out. And we're going to go under the lip. Good. So, this is where we're releasing any energy and information around not speaking our truth to others or ourselves. Sometimes we say one thing and we do another, and that causes us to not trust ourselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, take a deep breath in and out. Good. And then we're going to go to the collarbone. So, underneath the collarbone, there's 2 points. So, it's K27, and that helps us to release fear. Good. You know what I realized the other day? My son,
Mm.
because I was taking him through tapping, he was like,
Mhm.
"Oh," and I was like, "Oh yeah, Tarzan." Before he would jump, he would go, "Oh," and he was probably trying to get rid of the fear, right? So it makes sense. We
That's
do all these
crazy.
things. I'll tell you about another one too in a second.
Hmm.
So then we're going to go to the center of the chest. We're going to say, even though I have this anxiety, which doesn't even feel like anything right now, I deeply love and accept myself. So the center of the chest is where we're also coming back to ourselves and saying, it's okay that you're having this. I love you. Here's my, compassion, forgiveness, all that stuff that we would offer other people, but we don't offer it to ourselves. We're too hard on ourselves. So it's just tap right here. All of these points are also helping to move lymph, which we have to do because we don't have a pump. So that's
Hmm.
another good thing. So we're going to go down to the bra line on the side of the body, and it's a hands width down from the armpit. And on the right side, we're releasing anger, and on the left is worry. Good. Take a deep breath in and out. And we're going to say, even though I have this anxiety, I deeply love and accept myself. Good. Take a deep
Are
breath
there
in.
other things? Are there other things that you could say if you like you're specifically trying to?
Definitely. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you could say, even though I have a fear of going over this bridge, even though I feel like I'm not good enough, even though you can say anything you're working through, even though I have this pain in my neck, you can tap and talk about anything. The more that you
Hmm.
pay attention to how the body is feeling, the faster your transformation. And I mean, talk about the emotions, talk about where you feel it, talk about anything that might pop up in terms of like your intuition and being like, oh yeah, this reminds me of when I was 2, or some people can remember that long, or maybe when I was 6 or 7, I fell off the monkey bars, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm doing that right now. You know, it's all connected. That's the story that I was telling you, that the body keeps the score. So your body remembers these things. And you don't need someone like me to tell you, oh, there it is. Like that's you falling off the monkey bars. It doesn't matter. It'll let it go. If you keep tapping and talking about it, it'll just go. You don't need to know
Mm.
exactly what is buried in the body, but you do need to address how you feel and the emotions that are coming up because truly what the body is trying to do is keep you safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been having a lot of friends lose very important people in their lives lately, and I feel like I can't offer them enough help. Like there's never anything good that you could say in those moments. And obviously we don't want to like jump to like trying to fix it, right? But would this be like the number one thing that you would recommend to a friend? Like say you had a best friend, they just lost their mom or something. What would be like, how would you comfort them in that moment? And what would be your recommendation for helping them overcome that challenge in their life?
Well, so if I was specifically saying it, I would talk to them about how usually their loved one is okay and happy in spirit. I've been able to communicate with the other side and see that, but I would recommend tapping. So I have so many people who have thanked me on social media because they have recently lost a loved one and they started doing some of the tapping and the grief that can come out and be released because they finally feel safe to let go is so healing. They feel so much lighter. And then they can do another tapping session. In fact, I just recently on my TikTok released one on grief of losing somebody.
Mm.
And the other thing that, because I wasn't sure whether you meant like actually physically these people pass, but sometimes we forget that there's a grief of losing a friend because we no longer in alignment. And we don't really honor that as much because it's not as obvious, but that's a loss. And so we need to process that as well. And EFT is great at doing that.
Amazing. Would there be anything else that you would suggest? Like maybe they have a difficult time like even getting to do that. Maybe they don't believe in it or something. Is there
Yeah.
something else that could help them bridge that?
Very simply, I teach this one also on TikTok and other social media channels. But you take your hand, you place it over your heart, and you just hold it there for 20 seconds. This releases oxytocin, which helps you to feel bonded to yourself and others and will help to put you into the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you've lost somebody who you regularly would get hugs from and you feel really feeling the loss of that, this is like getting a
Mm.
hug. So
Mm.
that can help to ease the heart. I mean, you literally go through heartbreak. And I feel that when I work with people, the heart is split, like it aches, it's sore, it hurts. And so just even tapping on the
Mm.
chest will be helpful for them.
Mm. So interesting. And you said that like the when we're tapping on specific like meridian points or acupressure
Yes.
points, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's based on Chinese medicine, and each
Hmm.
meridian line has a point at the end. And when you tap on those points, it's helping to release that energy and emotion that's there. So that's why I tell people, this is not just tapping on the body. We're really doing work on the body where we're excavating the grief, the sadness, the disappointment, the rejection, the fear,
Mm.
whatever the point is, we're releasing the most recent expression of that that's been stuck in our body.
Yeah. Wow.
Because like if you're
Wow.
in the think about this, if you're in the grocery store and all of a sudden you look at your phone and you're like, you just got a text message that it's like, we need to talk. Like maybe somebody wants to break up with you and you're just like, you feel that, you swallow that energy, it gets stuck in your throat and you're like, oh my gosh. And your body starts to go into fight or flight. You start to freak out. You don't have the opportunity to stop and everything and start doing an EFT session.
Right.
So your body is now holding on to that energy and information and waiting for you to process it. So when you get home, you might want to tap even before you have the conversation, just so that you're your best self. Because when we tap, when we do these nervous system resets, we get into the parasympathetic nervous system where we have a boosted immune system, where we have access to our intuition, our creativity, our problem solving. So we will be our best self when we show up to a conversation like that. And if you've ever had a heated conversation with somebody, you walk away and you're like, I should have said this, I should have said that. It's because your brain has been hijacked. So if you can stop in the moment and reset, and that's why I have these little tools like turn your head to the left or squeeze your knuckles together, or you can even take your left hand, put it over your left eye, and look up with your right. That'll also reset you. You can rub your ears. There's all these different ways in
Mm.
which you can quickly reset in the moment so that you can show up as your best self.
Mm. Well, thank you. Thank you for all of those helpful tips. I have one more tip I want to
Sure.
steal
Well,
from you.
yeah, sure.
Um, I work with a lot of people that have like people pleasing tendencies and have a very difficult time with setting boundaries. It's something that I've healed from as well. And obviously still working through, to this day, it's going to continuously come up throughout my life. Is there a specific technique, an energy healing session that you would recommend for these kinds of people that would give them a big benefit or like a big help with them overcoming that thing because it's like ingrained in their belief systems and just it's
Of
almost like a
course.
personality trait at that point.
Right. Well, so really, people pleasing is the fourth stage of fight, flight, freeze, and then it's fawn.
Hmm.
And what most people don't understand is that it became a coping mechanism so that you could survive. We wound up being people pleasers, and I share that in my book because I also was. I am so intuitive because I had to be. And so we want to honor the fact that we've become these superhuman people who can intuit what other people need, can read a room really well, but we also need to learn how to turn that on and off as needed. And so I would recommend that they do tapping. So it would be tapping on, even though I feel like I have to please everybody else before I please myself, or take care of
Mm.
myself. Because here's the thing that I learned at a very young age, and I'm grateful that I went through it. My cup ran dry and I was still trying to pour from it. And I learned that I could not anymore. And I'm grateful that I was like, no, no more of this. I'm going to start to fill my cup first. And that's why I also teach these things, because every time that we do a nervous system reset, we are refilling our cup. Every time we meditate, every time we make a good choice for ourselves, every time we say something we're grateful for, we're refilling our cup. And then we can pour from it. And the thing is, oh, shit, we're probably running out of time. I
No,
would
you're okay.
you sure? Can I teach you guys? Because I have really, really sympathize with people who are people pleasers. So other
Hmm.
than doing EFT, which is going to help with the reprogramming of the brain and the body, the thing is people who are people pleasers are super energetically sensitive, and they don't really understand that to the degree that I kind of have learned
Hmm.
because I'm so sensitive. Learning how to clear your energy is going to be the number one thing that's going to help, other than the reprogramming, because you want to stop it from happening in the future, but this will help you in the moment. So, what you're going
Hmm.
to do, are you ready? Can you
I'm
get a little
ready.
woo with me? But
Girl,
there's
I'm a
science
people
behind
pleaser.
it.
Get help me out.
Okay. All right. So this is gonna be great. What you're gonna do is you're gonna imagine a big rose out in front of you, and you're gonna command that any energy and information that is not yours go to the rose. And I want you to pay attention to where you feel it coming from. And I'm watching you as well to see if you can tell where it's coming from, because I'm going to ask you. So let me know when you if you feel where it's coming from.
My throat area, maybe.
I yes.
My heart area. It feels like it's coming from this area here.
Yep, and keep going down a little bit. It's coming from your stomach as well. It's very strong coming from your stomach. The reason why it's so strong right
Mm.
there is around control. So when we're trying
Mm.
to control things, it causes us to get into fight or flight. And then we can't digest our food as well. We start to have food
Mm.
allergies. We start to think we're allergic to everything, but it's because we're in fight or flight and we can't digest our food properly. So,
Hmm.
what we want to do is clear this energy. So, let it all go to the rose. You can even turn up the speed. You can imagine it going faster. And the more you do this, the faster it happens, because it's like when you clean a room. Once you do a deep dive on a room and somebody puts down a dirty plate, you're like, oh shit, there's a dirty plate. I gotta get rid of that. I see it. I feel it. It's interrupting the flow of energy in that room. Same thing with yourself. Like as soon as somebody puts their energy in your space, then you're like, oh, I feel weird now, and you clear it out.
Mm.
So everything's going to the rose. You're going to drop that down to Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is going to recycle that energy, and it's going to go back to the people whose energy it belongs to. Because when we are holding on that energy, they are stuck in limbo. They can't process that energy because we've got it. So we send it back to them. And then we're going to connect with Mother Earth through our feet. So we're going to ground. So imagine roots growing down through the bottoms of your feet, going down through the crust of layer of the first crust of layer of Earth. I was a science teacher, and then go through the mantle and then to the core and grab onto the core of the Earth. Give it a little tug. Good. Now you're nice and grounded. Call back all your energy from anywhere you might have left it. So, scientifically speaking, when we go places, we touch things, so we drop hair, we drop cells. All that is information that we've left elsewhere. So, we're calling all that energy back to us over our head, and then we're going to pop it in. It's a bubble above our head. We're going to pop it, and it's going to rain down on us. So, fill in. There you go. Open your eyes. Tell me what you feel.
Feel airy,
Yes, lighter and
lift, but
like
grounded also.
yeah, solidly connected to the earth, lighter. Your vision is clearer. You're like, oh,
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
know,
say I felt like bright, like
bright, bright,
clarity.
clarity.
Clarity is a good word for
Yes.
it.
Yep. So when I do this with my clients, when I used to see clients, they would be like, I'm finally feeling like myself
Mm,
because they got everybody else's energy out of their space. And then when they call,
mm,
so when we remove that energy, we're like Swiss cheese because we have everybody's energy in our space. And we don't want somebody else to come along and put their energy in that space that's open now. So we call back all our energy, fill in, and we become this light, bright, energetic field that has a lot of clarity. And that from that space, we can say, oh, I didn't want to make cookies for the bake sale. Like, I don't need to do that. I'm going to get out of that. I'm going to spend my energy painting because I haven't done that in ages and that's what would make me happy. So you're able to realize they don't really need me at the bake sale. I need to be taking care of me. I need to fill my cup. It's been a long time since I filled my cup. So
mm,
you can choose from a different space when you're in that parasympathetic nervous system. When we're in fight or flight, we think there's fires everywhere and we have to go here and there and there, and it's never enough. And
mm.
I have one last quick thing I'm going to say.
Go, do it.
If you are a people pleaser, I want you to take a moment this season, if whatever, if this is coming out, I don't know when it is, but close your eyes and imagine all the compliments that you've gotten in your life. They look like presents in front of you. If you can imagine their presents in front of you, please open up those presents alone, sitting there in a meditation and take in the compliment because I can guarantee you, you've received many of them and did not listen or take them in. And they've been
The
sitting there.
receiving.
Yes, they've been sitting there
Yep.
waiting to be opened. And can you imagine if somebody gave you a present in real life and you were just like, yeah, thanks, and you threw it over there? They'd be like, wait, what? So we need to receive because that fills our cup. So take a moment and imagine all those presents that people have given you and fill your cup with that energy, that vibration, that information. It will heal you, but it'll also remind you of how powerful you are within the world, and you'll feel like enough instead of always feeling like not enough.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely been my experience. When I was growing up, it was very challenging for me to accept a compliment. I was responded very awkwardly, or
Mm-hmm.
I would say, but it's really not that nice. Oh, it was only $10. I got it
Yeah.
from Goodwill. I would always have to dampen it down. And,
Mm-hmm.
it comes from the things that are said to us when we are in our adolescence. It could also be something maybe even from a past life. But there's a lot of things that happen in our lives that end up programming us, and then we end up responding to our present day in a way that doesn't really benefit us. If we can't ever receive, then how are we ever going to feel fulfilled and feel loved and all of those things? We as people pleasers, I think we spend so much of our time trying to prove our worth and trying to care for others because that's what fills our cup, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, or what makes us feel like we're worthy or valuable or useful. I think that's where a lot of that is coming from, is the need to feel useful, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm needed, then I am loved. I'm not going
Right.
to be abandoned because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's tough out here for people pleasers. So I'm really grateful that you shared those tips, and it's a free thing that you can do. You can
Mm-hmm.
start doing it right now, and you can
Mm-hmm.
start healing right now. So thank you so much again for being on my show. Um, I do want the listeners to know where to find you, how they can. I know you don't take one-on-one clients anymore, but if they can work with your modality, find your book, if you could share that
Sure.
information with us.
So my book's called Bridging the Divide, and you can find that on Amazon. My website is Stark Transformation, and the best thing to do to find out the next class, the next thing that's happening, is to get on my newsletter. And that's if you go to my website, you'll end up on that. Like you have to fill out the information, but you'll be able to join. And then anywhere on social media, Stark Transformation.
Wonderful. I will tag all of Amy's information, her website, and all of that so you can find her easily in the caption below.
Also, I have
And
the
yeah,
Stark Transformation Show, a podcast.
yes, yes, yes. You said that you've been doing that a while too, so I'm sure there's a
Yes,
lot of
three and a half
information.
years. Yeah, lots of,
Mm.
there's many lessons, but I've also interviewed top doctors from around the world.
On Apple and Spotify,
Spotify,
right?
yes.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for being on. Hopefully, in the future, I can have you on again because I feel like we just barely dipped our toes in. That
Yeah,
was
the
the
book's
best
550
conversation.
pages, so that's why there's always something for me to talk about.
I'm gonna pick it up today.
Okay.
Like, I am very interested in learning about your story. It's a beautiful story, especially with your background being chronically ill. I always
Yeah.
love, hearing about people that have overcome challenges like that in their lives. Now they're giving back to the world with such a
Yeah.
strong purpose like you are. I really
Yeah.
appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
and what you're doing for the world is beautiful. Really.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next show. Bye. That was awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You're
You're
welcome.
amazing. Okay, I got a client at 12:30.
Go for it.
But I will have my assistant send the export file to you as soon as it's downloaded,
Sounds good.
and then I'll let you know when it's going to air as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay.
Any
Have a great
issues or
day.
questions, just email me,
Nope.
okay?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.